Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now, Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Yes, it is another beautiful day inside the Loft 100 studios because we are hanging out, bringing you the Big Biz Show. Hope everyone's having a great day. I'm Costa.
We're having a great time.
We're having a great day.
Big
Mary Godwin.
Things and the bobs and the boos and the big biz.
Mary Godwin in her beautiful forest green sweater. Greg Todoroff, always his black shirt.
Forest green. That is forest green, isn't it?
Forest green.
That's forest green.
It's forest green.
Are you willing it to be colder? It's pretty cold in the morning.
It's freezing in this studio. It's hot outside, but in here I need to dress.
I would
just our
sleep
souls.
in here. Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
It's just the darkness of our
I'd take a
souls.
nap in here.
You said
every
it, not
day
me.
if I could.
Now that President-elect Donald Trump has won, there is
won.
There's enormous speculation on who's going to join the cabinet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, traditionally speaking, historically speaking, there is a bipartisan. I'm not going to say nonpartisan, but there is a bipartisan cabinet where some of the jobs go in one color of blue, the other ones go to some color red.
Yeah.
Mostly it's going to be red, but hey, Howie, you're better than this than anybody because you'll be president someday, and we're funding his, and we're going to rule the world.
Love it. That's right.
Who do we got, guys? Like, we have like Attorney General, right? We got Fed Chair. We got what else do we have? Is there the only ones I care about are Fed Chair,
FBI Director.
FBI Director. Who are we looking at? Huh?
Yeah, so really the only bipartisan stuff that happens in the cabinet level in these really high agency positions are usually a Democrat will strongly consider a SecDev Republican or CIA or an FBI Republican candidate. You don't really see it going in the opposite direction too much or beyond that scope. You might have some assistant secretaries of state that are Republicans or Democrats with the opposite party, but that's about it. But thank you for entertaining me with this today because I've just been obsessed with the betting markets and how good they've been at predicting all this. And so when you look at it, you have really good betting odds on seeing some of the names from the last Trump administration and some.
So is the poly market actually predicting cabinet members now?
Oh yeah, you can bet on who's going to be the next Attorney General, who's going to be the next Secretary of Defense.
But if it's more accurate than polling, I want to know. So who are they saying Attorney General? Mike Lee again?
Attorney General Mike Lee, Senator from Utah. Yeah. Marco Rubio, Florida. He has not wanted to be a senator for like 8 years now. So
defense?
And so he's first in line for the Secretary of State job.
What about Pompeo? Pompeo's going to be back in business, right?
Yeah. Trump's old head of the CIA and then Secretary of Defense for a hot minute there. And then Treasury is interesting for the economy because it could be the former SEC secretary. That's securities, not
Jay Clayton, right?
There,
Jay
Mike.
Clayton?
Jay Clayton. Yeah. And his biggest competitor, a little bit of a toss-up there, is the hedge fund giant, John Paulson.
Not to be confused with Pat Paulson from Laugh-In. Grateful. That'll bring you back to 1968. I think I just did everything.
Howie, what about Vivek Ramaswamy? Is there a position for him? Do you know?
Bless you.
He's not showing up for any of the cabinet level posts, but I think it's very likely that he, he's made billions on his own, and so he might want to go make some money and still be a political force, but he also could have a job in the White House. I could definitely see him in a chief strategist role, deputy chief of staff role.
I heard that RFK might be in some sort of health department spot.
FDA too.
Yeah, FDA.
Yeah, so he could have NIH. He could have.
Also agriculture. Agriculture. Right.
Well, agriculture is a little bit weird. He wants to clean up the food supply and take fluoride out of the water that are making the something homosexual. I forget. A freaking throb.
Stay there. Stay there, Howie. That's what I heard too. I want to make something heterosexual, so do I. There's that hot blonde in the cafeteria line. Big Biz Show. What the hell did he say? What did he say that we just had to edit out that you're not even listening?
In over 175 countries and all the ships at sea. As always, to our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, thank you for what you do, what you've done for us. It is the Big Biz Show. Inside the Loft 100 studios, Costa Miraber Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todoroff, and of course, Captain Finance himself.
Let's not forget the DTT this morning. We played a big gig up in Venice Beach last night at the Venice West.
Yeah.
Opening for the Whalers.
Get out of here.
I'm still smelling a contact high from here.
It's a natural
When you walked into
leap.
that club last night, you knew the Whalers were there. Even though they were it was great because we got to watch the sound check of the Whalers and got to see every major song during the sound check. So you did, because you sit through your whole concert and stuff like that. Sure. Some you like, some you don't. We caught in a half hour every major song that they ever recorded.
Is it true they all talk like, hey, baby?
No, those are pirates.
Oh,
pirates.
okay.
Those are pirates.
Yeah. Whalers.
Those are the guys that Captain Country commercial. Oh, Whalers, I get it. Whalers. Got it. Got it.
Ahoy, matey.
You're talking about 1800 literature like Master and Commander.
Get the harpoon already.
Because they're whalers.
Okay. Never mind.
I got it, but it was.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you.
As an MC, I get the whole thing, but still, that was not.
Yeah. I didn't bring the busser out, as you say.
That was not it, brother.
Let's not forget Howie Font, our analyst up here. We're talking today about Harvard study of 21. You're just joining us. 2,100 adults aged 18 to 29 found that 42% of Americans under 30 say they're barely getting by financially. My argument is you should not be getting by financially at that point.
Right. Exactly.
You should be struggling.
Ramen and Taco Bell.
Well, no. See, that's the thing. They're buying Starbucks
Exactly.
every day.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? It's like, I can barely afford to go to Starbucks and get my $12 drink every morning.
They're Instacarting, they're door dashing, they're doing. Also, we talked recently about the college debt that they're probably in. They're needing to pay that.
Yeah, because the product isn't 30 times more expensive. It's the same. Look up latte factor for me.
It's the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
It's the lifestyle.
Yeah, the life. But so it's the experience versus the. Would you trade the experience? I'd trade the education part because I'm not sure the education matters unless you're going to law school or medical school and stuff like that.
The book?
No, the latte factor, just what it is.
Why you don't have to be rich to live rich.
So the latte factor basically says if you were to not spend money on Starbucks for 25 years, you end up with a pile of dough of that $6 a day or something like that.
The idea behind it is that the little things you regularly purchase can cut into your budget more than you might realize.
Yeah, right. So you're
Howie's told us that many times.
Your Slim Jims and your Red Bull every single day of your life.
Totally. Funyuns.
Yeah, your Funyun butts. Your Filia.
Yeah.
Howie's trying to tell us something, but
Howie, we can't hear you. Howie's volume's down for some reason. God, can't hear. He's gonna fix that for me.
How about now?
There you go.
There we go.
So
okay, 5 years into Zoom, we got it working.
Yeah.
What do we think about the effect of lifestyle creep and Instagram and everyone being able to see how you're living and what you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's much socially more difficult to have that kind of ramen diet.
Well, here's the reason I think why. Because when we were growing up, not you, Howard, but when we were growing up, your parents would say, if you're mad at somebody, write a letter, put it in a drawer, and then the next morning open up and see if you'd send that letter. Normally you wouldn't. Now, not only do you write the letter, you take it to their house, you tape it to their door with a picture of your you-know-what, and then set their house on fire. That's basically what you're doing right now. I mean, honestly, it's
because of social media?
Because of social media.
Also, every little thing, like a girls' night out is now a themed thing. It's going to cost $500 just to do the most basic things because they have to make it Instagrammable and postable and interesting. Yep. So everything, the ante is so much higher, right?
Well, I think it just must be. I mean, you're taking pictures of your food, your coffee, what you're doing. You have to look good. I mean, it just is.
Okay, wait. So is it because people want fame more than they want money? Is this about fame? Is they all want to trying to get famous?
I don't know if it's famous. They just want to look like
social posturing. This is the new Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yes.
Not me and Costa. Like, hey, gained 16 pounds today. Hey, filed bankruptcy last week.
Ate another jar of mayo.
Also,
you never see the downside. Like, hey, stole a car last night. You only see, hey, living my best life. You don't see how I'm a pair of 56 regulars.
Yeah. Got evicted yesterday.
Like we didn't have like a real Facebook, like Lifebook. Stuff that happens, like unfiltered, all the good stuff and bad stuff.
Right, but to the point, and then on a how much maybe another serious level to it is the fact that people see everybody else. Oh my God, I have to live my life. I have to do that way. I've got to, then go into hawk or debt. But then the depressive levels of what they see and aren't able to be part of after they blow that bank account.
Yeah, but I think that happens in college too, though. I remember in college the rich kids versus the have. I was a have-not in college. I remember a kid, a buddy of mine, had the cool car and everything else.
Yeah.
And the comparative thing happens, I think, when you're very little. But I think the social media doesn't help at all.
And they're doing very expensive face regimens, and they're buying Botox, they're buying Ozempic, they're buying all of the things to keep up how they think they should look. That is not needed when you're in your 20s, but that's what they're starting in teenagers.
And Mary, maybe you're going through this now, but maybe make sure that the formal and the gala budgets or the sorority stuff is capped, because I've seen people go down that rabbit hole. I mean, when you talk about themed parties and dresses for Rush Week and all that, and a lot of pressure to keep up, and I think people need to bench that and look in the mirror.
I said something that was funny.
No, Sully cannot contain himself, and I don't know if he's trying to not let it out or if he's just gonna.
This is what happens when you spend a night with whalers.
He's still laughing.
He's got the giggles.
I was just thinking when Mary said, all of the skin regimens and stuff like that, I was saying, boy, if Mike lived in this day and age, his first breast reduction would have been 12 years old. How do you hold that in? Oh my goodness. So back to this study, Howard. So it says covering basic needs like food, housing, transportation become increasingly expensive. And first of all, how many people going to college are covering their own food and housing expenses? That'd be interesting to find out.
I think it's such a small percentage. Your parents are either paying for a meal plan, the scholarship you have is providing for your meal plan, et cetera, et cetera.
I went to school here in San Diego where I lived, okay? And lived at home part of the time, lived in an apartment part of the time, but I also had a full-time, or I should say part-time job.
Yep.
What was called Price Club, now called Costco at the time. So, because you could do that. You could go to college. I'm not sure that's possible today to do that because of the regimen at school. I think it's a little more.
They have work-study programs, though, so I don't even know what that is exactly, but we're going to find out real soon.
Thing on the show about the level of financial support people are getting into their, I would say, almost mid-20s. But I think people from 20 to 24 are getting on average something like $3,000 worth of support from family a month. So that's pretty substantial. I mean, that's a lot of, rent after college and all that.
I just think that this final sort of the final exclamation point to this study was overall the research highlights a generation struggling to achieve financial stability amid rising costs and limited economic opportunities. You could have said that in 1960, 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010.
Save your money.
2020.
Save your money. That's right.
This is what it comes down to. What's the market doing, buddy? What's happening? Are we stabilizing?
We are doing today is a good day. We looked in the crystal ball, the magic Trump 8 ball this morning, and he said, today we're not going to do any more tariffs. The after hours, there was a big bump because auto tariffs were going to be paused. And this morning, that was fake news. That's not happening. So it's kind of chaos. There's a put on the bond market. I think the president is going to
explain that for our listeners' view and our viewers' view. Howie?
So everyone's talking about the Fed and the presidential put, which is just insurance. There's a level below which Chairman Powell and President Trump will not let the economy go. In the stock market, that looks to be about 20%. That was that below 5,000 level that we saw a couple weeks ago. Now we're kind of staying stagnant. We're going sideways right now. So everyone's priced in. It's still a little bit volatile, but the bond market that has to do with how much debt we can issue and how expensive it is, because the U.S. does pay interest. It's never missed a payment. It's not going to miss a payment. So that can be expensive. If that rises too much, that interest rate on U.S. debt, then the president's going to maybe stop.
Well, and also let's make it very clear that when you're talking about interest rate and payment on our debt, it's not necessarily a credit card debt that we're paying a payment on. Many people have purchased bonds, okay, purchase with the full faith of the U.S. government that they're going to pay an interest payment on the bond. So this is not necessarily we borrowed money. It's the fact that somebody bought a piece of our debt and we guaranteed and serves U.S. savings bonds or treasury bonds or municipal funds and such. So I think that's the one thing that people don't understand about when we look at the U.S. debt clock. You see all this debt. It's not debt that we necessarily owe other countries or they owe other factions. It's the fact that we've got a lot of folks. Japan and China have purchased so much U.S. debt that we owe them an interest rate. So, but it's not a function of we went to them and borrowed money. I think that's a really important category that people don't understand. Is that look, it's categorized much worse than it is, and there it is. You're at $36 trillion, and $37 trillion in national debt. Meaning that's not the debt that we necessarily owe because we got into trouble. It's the fact that people are still buying on the faith of the U.S. government, being that they're still betting on us.
They added a Doge clock up there. Let's find out what that is next time.
Yeah, that'd be good. Howard, that's your job next time. What's the Doge clock all about?
All right. Thank you, Howard. Keep it right here, everybody. Much more to come. It is the Big Biz Show. See you in a second. We are in the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we appreciate you being along for this incredible ride. That is the DTT, otherwise known as the Day Trader Trio, best in the business. Back here at the bar, as we continue, Costa Mary Bergodwin, our executive producers, Greg Todorov, and of course, Sully.
Greg Todorov gets emails from folks that want us to interview certain people or certain Vortex figures, and you got an email from a shareholder or somebody interested in a company called Silvaco. Sound right?
That's right.
So did you get the CEO?
I did.
You got the CEO.
I'm big time, dude.
Come on.
You know this.
He just goes like that.
Around.
Get the guy and a director. Introduce him, Mike. Let's
Babak Taheri is the CEO and director of Silvaco, and of course they're a ticker symbol SVCO. Right. Mr. Taheri, welcome to the Big Biz Show. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Good morning. I appreciate the time.
Of course. So we conducted a little bit of due diligence on you guys, and man, you guys are at the right place at the right time. Why don't you tell our audience who may not know who you guys are, what you guys do, because I've not heard the word semiconductor in probably 10 years, and all of a sudden we got a problem, and these guys show up. Talk about what you guys are up to.
That's it. That's very well said. Actually, the space we are in, we create simulation software for designing of integrated circuits. So any chips that needs to go out there, we provide either the design software for their manufacturing or for design. So we are in a space called EDA, Electronic Design Automation Software space. And the last company in our space that went public was over 30 years ago. So we're very unique in that sense, and that's what we do at high level.
So about for us knuckleheads that are just consumers, talk about the applications on what you guys, who's your client base and what are you guys doing? How does it affect us at the end of the day?
No, absolutely. So if you think of any chip that goes into your end products, like your cell phones, your displays, anything that goes into power semiconductors that powers your laptops or a data center, any chip basically that comes out requires you to design it, and design not only in terms of electronic design of it, but also process steps in manufacturing design. Before any of these new material that gets introduced into market gets to be manufacturable, we enable the companies that design, any company that has a product like a cell phone, a product like a chip, any company that makes chips and wafers will use us in order to simulate rather than make hardware, to understand what their process technologies, what their design can do. Simulations these days, we call that digital twin. We represent what's in the physical world in computers, and very accurately, so they can basically rely on these digital twin models to design their next generation of products without having to spend lots of time and lots of money.
So real quickly, I know Mike has a question, so just so I can understand this, you pop open a cell phone or cover a computer and you see a lot of semiconductors there. Those are
Yes.
just pieces of hardware. You guys
Yes.
are the infrastructure that runs that stuff, right? Is that about how that works? Is that because semiconductor is semiconductor, but it's got to have a design in there so that there's efficiency, and then it needs to, if I push the number one button, the number one button's got to light up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at, we are the infrastructure that enables the chip designs. Let's put it this way. You saw the guy in the fab holding a wafer just a moment ago. To make that wafer, we have to be able to actually model every thousands of steps that goes in like a memory device wafer to be able to tell them how that works. Yeah.
Babak Taheri is the CEO director of Silvaco. Ticker symbol is SVCO. Please stop saying the word chips because I'm starving.
Right, not to mention wafers.
Wafers and chips.
Wafers got chips.
Babak, how competitive is this arena that you're in? Is it just a very few who are doing it, or is there a lot of people out there and the strongest is going to survive or has survived?
Yeah, so you'll find out that there's a lot of consolidation in the EDA market. It's about roughly $17 billion market that a handful of companies address. As I mentioned, very coveted space, very hard to get into, and getting to a company to a level in which that can go public and compete in that market is very difficult. So that's the space we are in, and I would say if you have just one hand, there are only 5 of us in that space that are addressing this whole market, and it's very competitive. Each of us focus on our own strengths and segments of the market we can address. And recently we've added as a new space, what I call a green space, that we use artificial intelligence in order to be able to help manufacturing. So EDA tools for the past 40 years have worked on designing of chips. I shouldn't say the word chips, semiconductors.
Chips.
So we are helping them now manufacture it as well.
Hey, Babak, can you talk about your first acquisition as a public company, Cadence's process proximity compensation product line? That's a mouthful. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. As if you think of our space, as I mentioned, there are 5 companies: Cadence, Synopsys, Siemens Electronics, Ansys, and us. We are the players in that market. And as a matter of fact, Cadence had a technology that they were trying to get out of that technology because it's not their focus area. It is our focus area. And not only them, but also their customers found out that the best partner to move this forward and have a roadmap that coincides and overlaps with our product can actually take this next level for this product. So that's the acquisition. But basically, to say this in a very simple way, think of the lights going through a what I call a mask that gets lights showing up on wafers as a pattern. So these patterns of transistors and little lines of metal can be formed on the wafer. This patterning of this creates a lot of reflection when the light goes through these little windows of masks, and a lot of what we call noise aberration. And what this OPC or PPC software does, it does optical proximity correction. As the name says, think of a light going through a window and hitting the windows and bouncing back in order to make this picture that you're looking at while the light is shining through, making this noise through your eyes.
So the acquisition made sense. It was a perfect match, is what it comes down to. That's what these guys do. Real quickly,
it is actually something.
We have a little less than a minute left here, so real quickly, I think you mentioned AI. AI's that's got to be a game changer for you guys, right? What does that do for the future here?
It's not us, but for the whole industry. It basically makes making and fabrication of chips much faster and cheaper. These days, they are using quite a bit of trial run errors to make wafers and see if their process works. AI and digital twin model, reduces that cycles of making wafers and testing them from months to a matter of days to decision making by reducing the number of wastes in the manufacturing and coming up to simulation results much faster in a matter of seconds rather than days and weeks. So
I feel smarter. I feel smarter after talking to Babak.
Babak Taheri, the CEO and director of Silvaco, ticker symbol SVCO. Please come back on. We'll talk about Funyuns and flaming hot Cheetos next time. I promise. All right, all of you watching right now, don't go anywhere. Much more to come as the Big Biz Show continues right after this.
What's that? Oh, that's good. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Continuing in Southern California, we are inside the Loft 100 Studios. We are the Big Biz Show. Everybody out there watching, hanging out with us, thank you. That's the Day Trader Trio. I'm Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and Sully.
I gotta tell you, that robot thing is fascinating.
I'm not over it. I'm going to be thinking about it all day.
Well, it's because, look, he brought up a thing about companionship. Okay? And the companionship thing is, you know, what's worse than alcoholism and smoking for elderly? It's loneliness.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, there's studies on the thing, and it's almost like, look, there's a reason you have a dog and a cat, right?
Yep.
Right?
100%.
And I'm not suggesting that it's just that, but I mean, could you imagine a world 10 years from now where you're comfortable talking to the Zumba?
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be
a Roomba or whatever.
Well, he already
Zumba.
He said they were going through nursing homes.
Yeah. I like that actually, that usage, because my mom was just in a care facility last year and nobody knew her name and nobody knew anything about her.
Yep.
And I envisioned this nice little robot coming in and talking to her and giving her companionship.
Well, it's a safe option too. I don't think they all have to look like hot blondes. I mean,
No.
Right.
No, I mean
Totally.
they could look like a caretaker or something.
Mary, anybody.
Caretakers can be hot blondes.
Yeah, but they got some hot blondes on the website.
Mike.
Who's our next guest, Michael?
Our next guest is Mr. Allan Evans, the CEO of Unusual Machines.
Speaking of unusual machines,
their ticker symbol is UMAC. Mr. Allan Evans joins the Big Biz Show.
Allan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right today. My hair's a little long. I need a haircut, and I do appreciate the AI you guys are talking about.
I love when a guy says, "How you doing?" "Hey, I'm crap. I got a haircut. I got too much sleep last night.
I'm a friggin' mess.
Move on with this stuff." Finally, an honest person.
I need a trim. Okay, I'm just going to be honest about it. You can come out and
almost
judge
out
me.
of frame.
It's fine.
Hey, you're
No, it is.
Yeah.
Allan, you're 2 inches taller than you normally are. Hey,
just wait for the pompadour.
Let's talk. I think we found a new favorite guest. Allan, let's talk about Unusual Machines, just for the folks who don't know you. Give an overview. What you guys do?
Yeah, keep it real simple. We're a backpack-sized drone company. We really focus on the FPV drones. So if you've seen drone racing or the videos in Ukraine, that's what our Rotorite brand is. And then really what we've been working on is drone parts and putting drone parts in the U.S. So we thought a long time ago, hey, they're kicking out Chinese drones. They're probably going to kick out Chinese drone parts. Let's get in front of it. we did. And so now we're moving to B2B2G sales, and it's going pretty well. Onshore production.
Begs to ask the question about tariffs. You guys, obviously, when you start talking about individual parts and stuff, there's two things that come to mind. Is hopefully we never get a value-added tax, and number two, we got a tariff thing here. Well, how's that affected you? Let's face that real quickly. Have you guys had to pivot at all?
It's been good and bad. We've been ahead of it, and so I like to joke that you don't have to outrun the bear; you just have to outrun the other guy. So, like we're in front of the other guy. That's cool, but running through the woods still sucks. And the way these tariffs have been implemented is pretty different. So, and this is where small businesses have gone bad in some cases. If we ordered parts in, let's say, January, you assume a certain amount of tariffs. Okay, you pay for the parts, they're on a boat, they show up, bang, tariffs change.
Yeah.
The parts you paid for are now stuck in customs till you pay the tariff to get them out.
Yeah.
And with the super jump, particularly in Chinese tariffs, but you also look at like Vietnam or Taiwan or whatever,
right,
you're suddenly paying another 50% just to get your parts off the boat. So it's been dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, and I think there's a Cold War going on with respect to how Donald Trump's handling it. I think there's a lot of bluster. It's certainly shaken up some feathers, and it was supposed to. Hey, can you tell us? I was doing some research on you guys. What is a T-motor, and why is there a ban on them? Because that has to do directly with what you guys are dealing with.
Completely. So Chinese companies, you have like DJI. You've seen all the drones at weddings and stuff. They're the amazing drones you see. Awesome Chinese drone company, banned from the federal government, and there's an upcoming FCC ban, so they won't be allowed in the U.S. T-Motor is this amazing Chinese drone motor company. They probably do 70% of the motors for the backpack size category. And they were just sanctioned in January, which means nobody can send them money, even with the tariffs.
Wow.
So people have about 6 months of backlog, and we're trying to build an actual drone motor factory, like signed the lease, ordered the equipment, all that stuff in Orlando right now to replace what they're doing. And so that was a surprise to not just us, but to the industry to be like, oh, whoop, this number one supplier gone.
And for you, though, that's yet another business model? As a factory?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were working on it anyway, and now them being kicked out just opens up $50 to $100 million of like immediately addressable sales.
Allan Evans is the CEO of Unusual Machines. Their ticker symbol is UMAC. Allan, with that ban on the DJI that goes into effect is it the end of this year?
End of this year, it's a government ban.
Okay.
And then at the end of next year, it's an FCC ban, so they can't bring in new products.
So do you start taking DJIs apart and start thinking in terms of, well, people who have those are going to need parts when they break down. We're going to manufacture those parts as well?
No, we don't really look at doing repair for them. We're really hoping that as part of all this, a U.S. manufacturer comes along and builds a good replacement.
Okay.
And we're just trying to partner with all those potential manufacturers because we'd like our parts to be in the replacements.
What about the retail channel enterprise component with what you guys have going on?
So we just launched our first enterprise parts last September. So retail still dominates what we do.
Okay.
Last quarter, so way back Christmas time, enterprise was about 15% of the mix. What's really cool and we didn't realize is that having an enterprise store simplifies the sales process.
Yeah,
People want samples. We're like, just go buy them.
Yeah, right.
R&D departments want service. Call customer service.
So the next question is scaling that, right? I mean, look, you got to burn a couple of steaks on the barbecue before you open up the restaurant. Well, you figured out the recipe now. How do you scale that on a bigger level?
Keep doing what we're doing. Every quarter's been the best quarter of all time.
Good for you.
Team's been great. And then I think what you're going to see is the government turn on real orders for U.S. drone companies, and we're going to see it come. But we're already big enough that that's not the scary problem. We're sort of getting there,
Well, as a potential shareholder, I can tell you, your cap table is bulletproof. You don't have any debt. You got a 2-year burn rate. I mean, this is as far as fundamentals go. And I know that obviously, stocks don't always trade on fundamentals, but fundamentally, you guys are bulletproof at this point. And plus, it's a pure U.S. play, which I think is something that you guys should lead with. I think that's good. I need more of you on the air. I don't have enough time to talk to you because when you start thinking about AI coming into the large purchase of drones in the U.S. government as well as in everybody's home, your whole business changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's super exciting. So the FAA is going to open up beyond visual line of sight. So like drone delivery, I am super pumped about Taco Bell just showing up when I want to.
Drone delivery. Wait a second.
Or nobody's stealing it off my porch.
You do Starbucks
here
too?
It is. Yes. Imagine driving along in your car. Starbucks delivers to you why the self-driving car, and you just get a coffee on the road.
And it just brings
Get your hand out the window.
Yeah, why not?
Shoot, bam.
I'm in. All in.
Sunroof is going to happen. It's really just going to become.
Can I tell you, in this studio here, I think we got in studio. We'd love to have you come in sometime. We got like 11 or 22 cameras shooting here. But when we do stuff outside, I can't remember the last time we shot a package to play on the show that we didn't use a drone. Indoor now. I mean,
always.
I think this is going to be, as I'm fond of mentioning, we didn't have the word iPad or iPod or iPhone in our lexicon 20 years ago. I imagine this is where these things are going with the drones the next level. Buddy, you got to come back with us. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Yep.
Allan
Would
Evans.
love to be in person. Appreciate you guys.
Allan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines. Their website is unusualmachines.com. Their ticker symbol, UMAC. American-made drones. All right, much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Don't go anywhere. The Big Biz Show rolls on wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much for being with us today on this very fun program to be part of. Fun to be part of sitting here watching, listening to the DTT. That is the Day Trader Trio back here at the bar. Mike Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, and of course Sully.
Good to have you along. What a show today. And we're going to wrap it up with our good friend Steve JJ Weisman, the scam man. First joined us, maybe 20 years ago, with Russ and I on the radio with a book called The Truth About Avoiding Scams. And then we started talking, and he started writing more books, identity theft and so on and so forth. And not only is he a professor of law at Bentley University, he also goes into the prison systems and teaches as well. And the interesting part is he came up with an adage way back when, things aren't as bad as you think, they're worse, which is true. I can tell you that not only have my parents, but my kids also have benefited from his advice because scammers go for young adults and old people, generally. And
it's getting worse with AI.
Well, guess who's here? Steve JJ Weisman, the scam man. What's up, bud? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have to ask you, with the T word that's on the news all the time, tariffs, I got to believe someone's figured out a way to rip us off with respect to tariffs, right?
Absolutely. Anything that the public is interested in or that's in the news, the scammers are going to jump on. And it was interesting to note because there are these sites that register domain names. So when a scammer is going to set up a phony site, you can find out from what they're doing there. And in January, there were 300 websites that were tied to tariffs, including one as U.S. Customs and Tariffs, which doesn't have anything to do with U.S. Customs and Tariffs. So what we're going to be seeing, and we're just starting to see, so I'm glad you asked me about this to warn people early, is you're going to be getting an email, a text message, a phone call telling you that there's a delivery from FedEx or whatever, but you need to pay the tariff first. The thing is, the tariffs are paid by the importers. The companies will add this on to the charges for items, but anytime you're asked to pay for the tariff, it's a scam. And so whether it's someone posing as FedEx who never asked for any kind of a tariff payment, or any company that you do business with, it's going to be phony. So if you see it on the invoice, you get it in a phone call, you get it in a text message, ignore it.
And the funny part is they, not only the emails, but when you get the stuff in the mail, it looks official. Totally. It looks so official now.
It looks so good. And that was, I heard you guys talking about AI making it worse. And that's so true. Because before, you had to have at least a modicum of talent, and particularly people who were scammers from, say, Nigeria or China or Russia. Their English may not be the best. Now, any idiot can go on the dark web and get the AI assistants to set up any kind of a scam. The emails, the text messages will look perfect, and you just can't trust anything.
Steve, is there a list of the tariff websites that haven't been taken yet? Asking for a friend.
No, but you can jump in there though.
I'll try. I take your advice, but I go the other way. I'll try and make my
Side
own
hustle.
scam. Hey, what's going on with the Hertz data breach? Dare I say it hurts? Yeah.
Oh. What he did there?
Wow.
No, those guys also aren't they thrifty in dollar also? Isn't it Hertz also thrifty in dollar too?
Yeah, and that's a really good point because there are people who are thinking, I didn't rent from Hertz, but if you rented from Thrifty, if you rented from Dollar, you too are in jeopardy. And these days, you're so vulnerable no matter how good you are at keeping your personal information private. The fact is you're only as secure as the places that have it with the weakest information, which is one reason never give your social security number out if someone asks for it, some company that they want it for identification. I had to see a doctor the other day and they wanted my social security number, which, I didn't make an issue of, I just didn't give it to them. And your doctors don't need it. And I particularly mention your doctors because healthcare is about the worst at protecting your personal information. Yeah. With Hertz, it's going to hurt. The data breach happened a while ago. You may get something from Hertz for some, free credit monitoring for all it's worth. Freeze your credit. That's the best thing you can do to protect yourself from any kind of a data breach.
Hey, Steve, so I was starting to get legitimate DMV email and DMV mail about the Real ID. Now, Real ID, of course, you're going to require what's called a Real ID to travel domestically on any airline unless you bring a passport. Talk about that because I got to believe the legitimate ones I see. I've had 3 more letters in the mail that talk about Real ID that have nothing to do with the DMV. So I got to believe that I'm getting invoiced for something that I haven't done yet, and that's got to be another big scam.
Yeah, and the deadline's coming up on May 7th to get this. And as you said, Sully, if you don't have a passport, you're not going to be able to fly unless you have the Real ID. The thing is, if to get a Real ID, you have to provide your social security number and show this. The other thing is to remember that you can't do it online. You have to go in person to the Division of Motor Vehicles. So if you're getting an email, a text message, and even if it appears to come from the DMV, it isn't. And if it's a text message, they can spoof the number so it looks like the DMV. The same thing with an email or a phone call. So you've got to go in person. So that's the key thing to take out. Any kind of communication that you get regarding this, asking you for personal information, is a scammer who's going to steal your identity.
Yeah, and go review us once again, Steve. It's just the simple stuff. It's typos. It's looking at where the email address is coming from. Yeah. It's a misplaced logo or using an old logo of the company. What are some of those things?
Yeah, a lot of the times you get lazy scammers, and what they will do is they'll use what's called botnets. They hack into millions of people's computers and use those to send out the kind of scams that they're sending. So I may be getting something that's supposed to be from the DMV, but it's coming from Jay Stetson at BU EDU.
Yeah,
and
right.
So you know it's a scam. But the other thing is, some of these scammers are so good. There's the Cyrillic alphabet, which is the alphabet used for Slavic languages. It's very, very close to the regular English alphabet. And they will use the Cyrillic alphabet for email addresses that they're sending. And so the A looks exactly like an A that we have in the English alphabet, and it's going to fool you. I was sent one, and they told me to look for it. And it took me forever to still recognize it. So you gotta really be careful when you're going against the non-stupid criminals.
So you're telling me I shouldn't have sent my credit card info to reelid.com? Steve, you're crushing my dreams here.
Buddy, thanks.
Actually, that's one I set up, so that's okay. We kept it in the family.
Go straight to Steve. Thanks, pal.
Steve JJ Weisman, scamicide.com, SCAMICIDE.com. Don't get scammed. And it's sad to say this, but it's the end of the show, too. We don't like to say it, but we do. Thanks for being part of the Big Biz Show. Everybody out there, we'll see you next time.
See you tomorrow, everybody.